Folks, thanks a lot for the 60,000 subscribers. You guys are awesome. But we're not stopping here. Let's push it, folks, to 100,000 subscribers, so give that support to the channel and subscribe, and hit that like button down below to reach our goal of 150 likes, and now let's go for it. The anime begins with an elderly couple taking care of their apple orchard. Then Shouzou Saitou apologizes to his wife, Ine Saitou, for not having the honeymoon they wanted due to lack of money at the time. But Ine says there's no need to worry because she's happy with the life they had. Ine remembers the apple tree they planted when they got married about 60 years ago was nearby. Shouzou recalls the tree was broken in half by a typhoon and finds it, identifying the patch he made on it. They admire nature when Ine notices a golden apple on the tree, which surprises the couple. Later, the couple returns home while Shouzou regrets not giving his wife a better life due to his condition when he was young, noting that she stayed with him despite probably having many things she would have liked to do. Shouzou cries in the bathroom thinking about this when suddenly he looks in the mirror and realizes that for some mysterious reason, he had become young again. Startled, he rushes to Ine and discovers she is also rejuvenated. The old man then gets excited about having a honeymoon with his wife. The next day, the couple's granddaughter, Mino, comes to visit and is surprised to see her grandparents so young. However, after the surprise wears off, the girl is enchanted by her handsome grandfather and sticks to him. Later, Mino's father, Yoshiaki, takes her home and the girl tells him that her grandparents have become young again, but he takes it as a joke from his daughter. In the park, some neighbors reflect on missing the Saitou couple who weren't visiting as often due to age and health. But now that the two have rejuvenated, Shouzou is a hit with the elderly ladies in the neighborhood, while Ine also catches the attention of the elderly men. In the past, Yoshiaki asked his parents to come live with him because the couple's age was advancing and the son was worried about them living alone. But Shouzou refused to leave their land, which has been in the family for generations. While Yoshiaki tried to convince the old man to move, Ine washed dishes with her daughter-in-law, Kid, Yoshiaki's wife, who decides to ask what her mother-in-law would like as she hadn't yet expressed her desires. But Ine said it didn't matter to her. As long as she could be with her husband, anything would do. In the present, Kid visits her in-laws to drop off some ingredients that Ine had requested. However, she is surprised to find Shouzou looking super young. He explains that his wife went to a community center meeting, acting calmly because he thought his granddaughter had already told her the news. But upon seeing Kade's shock, Shouzou apologizes for acting so naturally. Completely surprised, Kade asks to use the bathroom, where she processes what she had just seen and is surprised to find out she has a handsome father-in-law. Later, Kade calls her husband, who goes there with Mino. Yoshiaki is surprised to see his parents and realizes that Mino was telling the truth about them becoming young again. Then he questions Kade for not telling him the news as soon as she found out, but she explains that she thought it was better to tell him in person. At that moment, everyone notices Mino clinging to her grandfather and Kid scolds the girl while Shouzou makes it clear that he only has eyes for Ine, comforting his wife, while Yoshiaki is speechless at the scene. But Ine doesn't like seeing someone on top of her husband and reprimands him with a slap on the face. After the confusion, Yoshiaki, his wife and daughter say goodbye to go back home because he has to go to work. Then Ine worries about her son working too hard and pets him, which makes the man remember when he was a child, and she praised him for his hard work in the same way. Mino also feels like getting some head patting and Ine grants her granddaughter's wish. Later, the elderly in the neighborhood are worried about the annual sports festival, because since the school in Manamamachi closed due to another school opening in Kinamachi, there are no more children living in the area and the population is getting older, making it difficult for them to win the festival, not to mention the fear of someone having a heart attack during the event, which resulted in Kinamachi winning every year. The elderly of Manamamachi, unable to see hope, consider giving up, until they see Shouzou and his new muscles as the light at the end of the tunnel and even bow to the guy. Then they ask Shouzou to participate in the festival with them, making it clear that they won't accept no for an answer, and he complains about being deceived because he went there thinking it was a community center meeting. On the day of the sports festival, the head of the neighborhood council of Kitamachi, named Haisuke Igarashi, appears to taunt his opponents, saying he heard that Manamamechi might not participate in the festival that year, since all the participants are over 50 years old. He then shows off his young grandsons to the elderly. One of them is the star of the school's soccer team named Shouta Igarashi, and the other is the captain of the school's baseball team named Daiki Igarashi. The three laugh at the idea of competing with a bunch of old people, acting as if victory is guaranteed. Then the leader of the Manamamaki Neighborhood Association, an old man named Sano, warns that this year they have prepared a triumphant weapon, the Saitou couple. Haisuke, who knows the two, acts as if Sano had told a joke until the couple appears completely rejuvenated and leaves the old man and his two grandsons speechless. Haizuki even thinks those are Saitou's grandchildren, but Shouzou explains that they themselves have become young. And so the festival begins with a tug-of-war where both teams make their utmost effort to win until a lady convinces Ine to be the Manamemechi's cheerleader. As soon as she starts cheering, both Shouzou and his companions increase their willpower, leading them to their first victory. Ine feels a little embarrassed for having been a cheerleader at her age, but she's intrigued to discover that her husband enjoys such things. Next, the relay race moves on to the three-legged race, where everyone runs in pairs with their feet tied together to the finish line. Shouzou and Daiki strive to make up for their loss in the tug-of-war, while Haizuki is hopeful for victory, as the two brothers have been practicing sports together for over 10 years and know each other's quirks and rhythms better than any other pair. At this moment, an elderly couple from Manamemechi finally completes the course, apologizing for being more than halfway behind, making way for the Saitou couple to enter the action. Then Shouzou and Daiki find themselves close to the finish line and think victory is theirs when suddenly Ine and Shouzou approach them and then easily pass by. The couple literally runs in a way that doesn't even seem like their feet are tied together after all. They've been together for almost 70 years and Shouzou knows his wife's rhythm well, adjusting his speed to synchronize with hers. And so the Saitou couple wins the three-legged race just like all the other games in the relay, leading Manamemechi to victory, leaving Haizuki and his grandsons frustrated. Shouzou and Daiki reflect that competing isn't as easy as they thought, while Haizuki is furious that Shouzou stole Ine from him in the past and now stole his grandchildren's smiles. He then tries to console the two when Ine appears to apologize for getting so carried away in the games. Haizuki asks if she shouldn't be with her husband, and Ine explains that it's not possible because Shouzou became super popular after winning the relay and is surrounded by people. Ine then shows that she brought a meal for everyone to share and offers it to Haizuki and his grandsons. And so they eat together while remembering that it's been 3 years since Haizuki lost his wife. Then Ine comments that Shouzou and Daiki resemble their grandfather when he was younger, which reminds her of when Haizuki confessed his love to her, and the grandsons are shocked to discover their grandfather's interest in Ine and realize that's why he caused a rift with Shouzou. Then Ine tells the two not to lament their loss and to strive to come back stronger in the multisport relay the following year, which makes the boys admire her and think it's no wonder their grandfather couldn't win her over, leaving Haizuki furious. A week after the relay, Haizuki sends Shouzou to deliver something to the Saitou couple's house to thank Ine for what she did that day. The boy goes there and is greeted by Mino. Shouzou feels awkward seeing her, who thanks him for the delivery and invites him in. The boy agrees to enter the house but feels nervous being alone with her because his family had gone out shopping. They both studied in the same class, and Mino is the popular girl at school while he struggles to socialize, leaving him completely awkward and unsure how to act around her. So to pass the time, Shouzou decides to fiddle with his phone, but Mino approaches him to see what he's playing, making him even more anxious. At that moment, Kate arrives with her in-laws and stands at the door not knowing what to do. Kate panics at seeing her daughter alone with a boy while Shouzou is at a loss for how to interrupt their conversation. Later, the three enter the house and discover why Shouzou went there. Shouzou is super friendly and kind to the boy, but Ine and Kate already make him worried and feeling as if he's in a parent-teacher meeting. So to start a conversation, Shouzou asks his granddaughter if they're in the same class. Mino confirms and says that Shouzou is smart and good at sports, causing Kate to whisper about it with Ine, thinking he's a good boy for her daughter. Seeing the two whispering, Shouzou decides to step in and starts asking Shouzou if he likes any girl, but Ine stops him from interfering like that. Then Shouzou says goodbye to the family and Mino tells him to come back whenever he wants. Then Kate and Ine find it amusing how the two bid each other farewell so formally, meaning they weren't even proper friends. However, when the boy leaves, Mino ends up regretting for herself that Shouzou left, quietly wishing she could have talked to Ine alone for longer. Shouzou overhears his granddaughter's comment, but decides to keep this fact a secret. Meanwhile, Shouzou asks his grandfather to send him to do something at the Saitou's house, so he has an excuse to go back there again. The next day, Mino talks to her grandparents and learns that Ine confessed to Shouzou first. He explains that at the time, despite being happy to receive the confession since he had always been interested in Ine, he told her that it wouldn't be possible for them to be together because at that time it was very difficult for people to marry for love, and his father, Mino's great-grandfather, was very conservative and intended to marry him off to a friend's daughter. Mino finds it awful that Shouzou wasn't free to choose who he would marry, and Ine says that at that time, a person's family influenced others. Then the girl asks what her grandfather did, and he replies that he ended up getting into a fight with his father, and for a while he even considered running away with Ine. But she managed to solve their problem beforehand. Shouzou says his wife was incredible at the time and called the girl, who was going to have an arranged marriage with him, to say she wouldn't let her have her love. Mino is proud of her grandmother, and she says that apparently the girl already likes someone and only accepted giving up the marriage. Then Mino pleads with her grandmother to pretend she's the girl and represent what she said at the time. Ine feels embarrassed but notices her husband looking at her with anticipation and decides to make this effort for him and her granddaughter, who are filled with pride at seeing the enactment. Hey folks, we're kicking off the new anime season, and if you enjoyed this anime and want to see more of it, go ahead and hit that like button down below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We need your support to reach our goal of 70,000 subscribers. Every subscription counts and helps us grow our community. Catch you next time.